The automatic doors of the emergency department slid open with a soft hiss, letting in a rush of hot air and street noise before sealing it back out again. A nurse at the front desk looked up, expecting the usual, anxious parents, a bleeding knee, a coughing child. Instead, she saw a little girl standing alone just inside the entrance, her hands folded protectively over her stomach. She was small for her age, maybe 6, maybe younger. Her hair was tied into 2 uneven ponytails, one slightly higher than the other, as if whoever had done it was in a hurry or didn't really know how. She wore a pink dress with a cartoon rabbit on the front, the fabric wrinkled and faintly dirty near the hem. Her shoes were mismatched, one white sneaker, one pink sandal, and both were clearly too big, forcing her toes to curl slightly as she stood. "Hi sweetheart," the nurse said gently, stepping around the desk. "Where's your mom or dad?" The girl didn't answer right away. She stared at the shiny floor tiles, following a crack with her eyes as if it were a road only she could see. Finally, she lifted her head. Her eyes were dark and serious, far too heavy with thought for a child so young. "My belly feels funny," she said. The nurse crouched down to her level. "I'm Nurse Carla. What's your name?" "Amara." "And how old are you, Amara?" Amara held up 6 fingers, then quickly pulled one back and held up 5, uncertainty flickering across her face. 6, she decided again. Carla guided her to a chair and called for triage. As they walked, Carla noticed the way Amara moved, carefully, as if every step had to be negotiated with her own body. She didn't cry or complain. She just pressed her palms against her stomach, slow and deliberate, like she was trying to keep something from shifting. In triage, the questions began. "Allergies." Amara shook her head. "Does it hurt when you eat?" Another shake. "When did it start?" Amara shrugged, then whispered, "It's been there." "There where?" the nurse asked. "In me." They weighed her, checked her temperature, blood pressure, oxygen. All normal. Too normal. Abdominal pain without a guardian present was already enough to raise concern, but something about Amara's stillness made the air in the room feel heavier. A pediatric resident named Drive, Leena Patel, was assigned to the case. Leena had been on shift for 10 hours already, her coffee long cold, her feet aching. Still, when she saw Amara sitting on the bed, swinging her legs slowly, something in her posture made Leena slow down. She pulled a stool close and smiled. "Hi Amara, I'm Drive." "Leena, can you tell me what's going on with your tummy?" Amara looked at her, studying her face as if deciding whether she was safe. Leena didn't rush her. She let the silence sit. "It tickles," Amara said finally. "And sometimes it feels like when you carry a heavy bag from the store and your arms get tired." Leena nodded. "Does it hurt?" "Not like a boo-boo," Amara said. "Just wrong." Leena placed her stethoscope down and spoke softly. "Did something happen that made it feel wrong?" Amara's gaze drifted to the curtain, then back. Her voice dropped to a whisper so quiet Leena had to lean in. "Daddy put something in my belly." The words landed like glass shattering. Leena kept her face calm, but inside her chest her heart slammed hard enough to hurt. Training kicked in, neutral tone, no leading questions, no visible reaction. "Can you tell me more about that?" she asked gently. Amara nodded. "He said it was a secret. He said secrets are for good girls." Her fingers twisted the hem of her dress. "It was shiny, cold. I didn't like it, but he said I'd be brave." Leena felt a tightness in her throat she had to consciously swallow down. "When did this happen, Amara?" "I don't know," Amara said. "It was dark outside. I had my bunny pajamas on." "Did Daddy take you to a doctor after?" Amara shook her head quickly. "No, he said doctors ask too many questions." That was enough. More than enough. Leena completed a gentle physical exam. Amara's abdomen was soft but slightly distended, not dramatically so, just enough to feel off. Bowel sounds were present. No guarding, no obvious pain when pressed. Again, too normal. "We're going to take some pictures of your tummy," Leena explained. "It doesn't hurt. You just have to lie still." Amara nodded, relieved at the idea of lying down. The ultrasound suite was quiet and dim, designed to soothe. The technician, Marisol, greeted Amara with a practiced smile and handed her a sticker sheet. "You can pick one when we're done," she said. As Amara lay back, Marisol applied gel and began moving the probe across her abdomen. The screen flickered to life with familiar grayscale images. Liver, kidneys, bladder. Then Marisol paused. She adjusted the angle, the depth. Her brows knitted together. She froze the frame, then unfroze it, then froze it again. What is it? Lena asked quietly. Marisol didn't answer at first. She swallowed. I'm not sure, she said slowly. But that shouldn't be there. On the screen was a shape that did not belong to any anatomy Lena had studied. It was too straight, too uniform. It reflected sound waves in a way organic tissue did not. Lena felt a chill crawl up her spine. Marisol excused herself, saying she needed to get the radiologist. Her hands were shaking. Lena stared at the screen, willing it to make sense. It didn't. The shape was unmistakably foreign. When the attending physician arrived and saw the image, her face went pale. She leaned closer, then straightened abruptly, pressing her fingers to her lips. Tears welled before she could stop them. Oh my God, she whispered. She turned to Lena, voice cracking. Call security, call social services, and call 911. Lena nodded, her hands suddenly unsteady as she reached for the phone. Back in the room, Amara sat up slowly, sensing the shift in energy. Did I do something bad? She asked. Lena knelt beside her immediately. No, she said firmly. You did nothing wrong. You did the right thing by telling us. Amara considered this, then nodded once, like she was storing it away for later. Outside, sirens began to wail in the distance, growing louder. The hospital, usually a place of controlled chaos, felt suddenly suspended in a single breath, waiting for what came next. The sirens faded as quickly as they had risen, swallowed by the thick walls of the hospital. In their place came a different kind of noise, the low murmur of coordinated urgency. Security officers appeared at hallway corners. A hospital administrator whispered into a phone. Somewhere, a printer hummed as reports began to exist before anyone had finished processing what they meant. Amara sat on the bed with her legs tucked under her, clutching the edge of the blanket. She watched faces come and go, all of them wearing careful expressions. Children notice things adults think they hide. Am I sick? She asked. Doctor. Lena sat beside her and took a breath before answering. Your tummy has something inside it that shouldn't be there, she said, choosing each word like a step across thin ice. We're going to help you get it out. Amara nodded slowly. Okay. Then, after a pause, will Daddy be mad? The question struck Lena harder than any ultrasound image ever could. No, Lena said, her voice steady despite the heat behind her eyes. You are safe here. A woman introduced herself as Ms. Reynolds, a Child Protective Services social worker. She wore soft colors and spoke in a tone that never rose or fell too sharply. She didn't ask Amara questions right away. Instead, she offered her a small stuffed bear from a shelf in the corner. He doesn't have a name yet, Ms. Reynolds said. You can help him pick one. Amara examined the bear seriously. He looks like a Milo, she decided. Milo it is, Ms. Reynolds smiled. Only after Milo was tucked securely under Amara's arm did Ms. Reynolds begin, gently, carefully, letting Amara lead when she could and stopping when she couldn't. Some answers came in whispers. Some came in drawings on a clipboard. Some didn't come at all, and Ms. Reynolds didn't push. When the surgical team arrived, they explained the procedure in simple, non-frightening terms. Amara would sleep. When she woke up, her belly would feel better. Milo would stay with her the whole time. The pre-op room smelled faintly of antiseptic and clean sheets. Amara lay back, fingers tangled in the bear's fur, eyes following the slow movements of the anesthesiologist. Can you count with me? He asked. 1, Amara said. 2, 3. Her voice faded, eyelashes fluttering shut, her small chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm that made Lena release a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. The waiting was the worst part. Lena sat with the attending physician in a quiet room near the operating suite. Neither of them spoke much. Every few minutes, the door would open and a nurse would offer an update, stable, progressing, almost done. Each word was a small rope thrown across a widening chasm. When the surgeon finally entered, her surgical cap pulled loose, her shoulders heavy with exhaustion, both doctors stood at once. She's okay, the surgeon said immediately. The relief was physical. Lena had to grip the back of the chair to keep from swaying. We removed the object without complications, the surgeon continued. There was some inflammation, but no permanent damage that we can see. And, the attending asked softly. The surgeon nodded once. It's been secured and documented. Law enforcement has it. No one needed to ask what it was. Amara woke in recovery with a groan, her face scrunching in confusion before relaxing when she felt Milo against her cheek. It's lighter, she murmured, her hand drifting to her bandaged abdomen. Yes, The recovery nurse smiled. Much lighter. Later, when the fog lifted, Ms. Reynolds returned with crayons and paper. Amara drew quietly, her tongue poking out in concentration. She drew the hospital bed. She drew Milo. She drew a big yellow sun with crooked rays stretching to the edges of the page. "What's that?" Ms. Reynolds asked gently, pointing to a small figure Amara had drawn standing next to the sun. "That's me," Amara said. "I'm outside." Ms. Reynolds nodded. "That looks nice." "It is," Amara agreed. In another part of the hospital, officers completed paperwork with expressions carved from stone. A name was written down. A location. A door that would soon be knocked on. Justice moved slowly, but it moved. That night, Amara slept deeply for the first time in days, her breathing even, Milo tucked under her chin. Lena checked on her before her shift ended, pausing in the doorway longer than necessary. "I'm proud of you," Lena whispered, not caring if Amara heard or not. The days that followed were filled with transitions. A temporary placement was arranged with relatives who had passed every background check and arrived with tearful relief written all over their faces. Therapists were scheduled, follow-ups planned, safety wrapped around Amara in layers she'd never known before. On the day she was discharged, Amara wore clean clothes that actually fit her. Her hair was brushed neatly, ponytails even this time. She held Milo in one hand and Ms. Reynolds' hand in the other. Before leaving, she stopped at the nurse's station. "Thank you," she said. "Seriously." "You're welcome," Carla replied, kneeling to her level again. "Come back and visit sometime, just not as a patient." Amara smiled, a real one, wide and unguarded. Weeks passed. The emergency department returned to its usual rhythm, scraped knees, fevers, crying babies soothed by tired parents. But some stories lingered in the walls long after the rooms were cleaned. One afternoon, an envelope appeared in the staff mailbox addressed in uneven block letters. Inside was a folded piece of paper. On it was a drawing of a bear, a hospital bed, and a sun with too many rays. Below it, in careful handwriting, "Thank you for listening to me." Lena pinned it above her desk. On nights when the work felt endless and the weight of what people did to one another pressed too hard against her chest, she looked at that drawing and remembered a small girl who found the courage to speak, and a moment when listening made all the difference.